Welcome to Culture Gone Bad, a podcast hosted by Alexandra Saushkina
and Drew Pidaura. Join us for a seductive spectacle of cruelties and paradoxes in current events, fashion tragedies, and cultural symbolism.
This show will leave you with lots of ideas, thoughts, contradictions, and self-reflection, which are so much needed in this cruel and mad world. After a long break, Culture Gone Bad is back, and Droopy, everyone is wondering one thing only. Considering like all the global geopolitical crises, economy, identity politics, elections, one thing which keeps everyone awake at night is, where is Kate Middleton, Droopy? Do you know?
I think I do.
Tell us.
So I think Kate Middleton is where she has always been, in her house. In fact, I think the big drama is not due to the fact that we genuinely think she may be somewhere else, but it is because we are not used to people not being in the spotlight, people deciding not to appear. She is a member of the royal family. Now, you can think whatever you want about the monarchy, and you can think whatever you want about Kate Middleton, but Kate Middleton became a perfect monarch. Just like Queen Camilla. They became perfect. They embody the institution. So the royal family doesn't speak about their personal health problems. They never did it. Okay, they don't need to delve into their identity as humans because they are symbols, and that's what she's doing. She has a problem she doesn't want to share. I think the only misstep was that picture. Okay, the AI picture, that was the only misstep. That was totally unnecessary, and she regretted it. But up until that point, I didn't see anything wrong. She has the right to her own privacy, and not to, not to indulge in this culture that needs everyone to be present at all times.
Do you will entertain any idea what she might be having, I don't know, a facelift or some health issue, or do you think she's been cheated by her husband? Like, what's the hit?
No. I think she has been probably cheated by her husband like any other princess before. This will always happen.
And then she decided to get a facelift as an outcome.
The royal
cheating.
The royal mistress has always been as important as the wife. It's a role to fulfill. Queen Camilla's grandmother, I think she was a grandmother, was also the mistress to the king. So it's a family tradition.
Oh wow! So Camilla is just carrying on what she was born to do.
She inherited it. So yes. She had abdominal surgery. We know that she had a very bad, very serious surgery. And she disappeared. And apparently, the surgery she had was very serious. Some experts let this information out that the surgery was very serious.
Wow.
So that's what she had. I would like the idea of Kate Middleton having a facelift. I would love it. But yeah, I think it's just abdominal surgery this time.
Well, I mean, one doesn't cancel another, like after all, face and tummy are in different places, so might as well.
True.
I mean, I don't know, but do you think we have some sort of etiquette? So royal etiquette, like if we find out where husband is cheating on them, do you think we show some sort of remorse or distaste for that, or we just carry on like nothing happens?
Not in public. Diana was the exception. She wanted to be so special that the husband didn't have to have a mistress, and that doesn't normally happen in the royal family. The you should not show anything in public. You can have your own grievance in private, but in public you don't show it. It's not, it's not a family matter. If you do it in public, it becomes a state matter.
Yeah, I mean, Meghan Markle clearly didn't follow the rule.
Apparently, she's been cheated too. Last year, I read some
Really?
news yeah. Last year, I read some news that she was being cheated on with by Prince Harry, and apparently their marriage was also not going particularly well. But that's last year's news. I don't know this year if things have changed.
Seems to be running deep in royal blood.
I think it's not a marriage. The one between Meghan and Harry is not a marriage doomed to last because they married for love. If you marry for love, of course it will not last. The only successful marriages are the marriages where there is a goal that remains even if love disappears. Love is...
But what
Makes sense.
But what could be that goal, Droopy?
Well, in the case of Kate Middleton, was to become the queen, was to fulfill that role, was to have the role sometimes is to have children and to grow the children and to support the children. So the point is not love, is family. But love as a sentiment, this fairy tale of love, is the most brittle ground upon which to build a marriage, because love inevitably fades away. So one needs to have a bigger goal than love. And I think Meghan and Harry married for love. That's why I don't think it will last.
Very interesting. I was having very similar reflection on happiness this week. I was thinking there is a big fantasy of happiness and being happy, which is very subjective, first of all. I think it's a very fleeting moment. And to chase happiness, I thought is a bit redundant, because the end goal of happiness is going to make you feel very empty because what follows next?
Yeah, I think that something Sigmund Freud said when he was in one of his very famous interventions books. He said that the goal of therapy is not to make people happy. The goal of therapy is to take somebody who is neurotic and turn them into an ordinary unhappy person. Right, so the happiness is not the goal, because happiness is ultimately unachievable. If you are always happy, you should be in a madhouse. Basically, it's not a normal thing to do, right? So yeah, I agree with you. The base of humans is quiet, mild unhappiness. And it's, to be frank, it's not even that bad, because if you're unhappy, you do things to improve yourself. It's what pushes you to become a better person. If you're already happy, then you don't feel, you're delusional. You think you're accomplished.
The challenge is it takes tremendous character and discipline to do something about one's unhappiness. But, we're not motivational podcasts, so it's probably not.
No. Can I show you something, speaking about unhappiness? This is my latest purchase. You know that every now and then I show. This is a pen holder, which is Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, and the pens are... are killing him.
God, it's like he's Saint Sebastian.
It's great. No, because they all put knives on his back. So this is my Julius Caesar pen holder. Okay, enough with unhappiness. Sorry.
No, the capitalization of art objects is a very fascinating field. I think one should do some sort of a dissertation and research on what are the most ridiculous art objects turned into art show merchandise creations have ever existed.
And to be honest, I love those kitsch reproductions of things. It's like it's what probably Susan Sontag would have called camp.
Indeed. Well, speaking of something which is also very camp, red carpet.
Yes.
I was reading a very interesting analysis. What in the past, red carpet was a big budget of all fashion brands. All the grandiose associated with celebrities and promoting brands. And apparently now returns are not as big. So even though big brands can participate in this spectacle. Not as many brands as they used to put their money into this. And that's why that could probably be connected to the averagely poor and boring red carpet. I think if we look back like 10 years or 15 years, or, let's go back to 50s or 30s. Yeah, this is when you get like real glamorous and sophisticated red carpets look. And every year we seem to be a little bit sad and mild. Nevertheless, I put my top looks. And the favorite one, which is, I think no one will be surprised because a little bit of a personal bias, but I think also something very bold is Celine Song look by Loewe. So she wore sort of this voluminous skirt with black jacket. I would say if I didn't know, I would think it would be Rhea Kawakubo creation from some archive of Comme des Garçons. But I thought it looked very modern. It was feminine, yes, sophisticated, elegant, and I think it was with a little bit of a play on what we usually would associate with maybe masculine dressing for red carpet. But then something which I found to be super interesting is actually menswear on Oscars. And I'm not a fan of Louis Vuitton. Not a fan because I don't think celebrity designer is necessary who should be behind luxury fashion brand. But they dressed Coleman Domingo and Bradley Cooper, and I thought they looked very stylish. There is a bit of a Western Americana look, which a lot of men on Oscar's red carpet wore, and heel, like boot with a heel for men, is having a big moment. But I thought they looked very glamorous and cool, unlike, let's say, traditional version of menswear we often have in our mind. In terms of my favorite glamorous look was Kim Kardashian in Balenciaga. I thought she looked very sexy, glamorous, and this is actually what we want to see on the red carpet. The perfect embodiment of femininity. Very, very sexy and sleek. And classic look, I give a word to Lupita Nyong'o. She wore Armani, and I think it was perfect example of what we usually expect on Oscar's red carpet. This 30s bias cut dress, a bit of feathers, not too much, nothing kitsch. It's exactly the perfect golden standard of Hollywood glamour, and she looked fabulous. But everyone else, I thought, was below average. What did you think, Juppie?
So I agree on most things you said. To be honest, I already forgot about the red carpet looks. Obviously, I looked at them as one does. I looked at them because I always looked at these things because it's our job. However, I can't remember much. I do remember Armani's looks, very good. Some Chanel looks are also good. Now, the reason why I think the reason underpinning what you explain of fashion brands having stopped creating glamorous red carpets is because they don't produce, as you said, they don't yield, they don't produce a ripple effect for brands. And that is because we are bombarded by so many images that it's useless for a brand to invest too much on a red carpet because people have forgotten about it the day after. So creating a beautiful look does not stay. We are bombarded by too many images. Our memory becomes shorter and shorter. Obviously, it's a waste for a brand to do so. Now, and that's the reason why, for instance, I don't remember it. If you think about the most relevant and the most memory worthy red carpet looks in recent years, they were not because we don't remember them because of the beauty of the outfit. But we remember them because of the event in itself, such as Kim Kardashian dressed in total black. The outfit was nothing, but the moment was a wow moment. It was the moment that we remember, was not the outfit. If you think about Kim Kardashian wearing Marilyn's dress, once again, is the fact of wearing Marilyn's dress, is not the dress itself, which we already knew. So it's the moment that we remember, is not the dress, and therefore in this media sphere, it's useless for brands to invest too much on the glamorousness of the dress, because people are gonna remember the weird, not the beautiful. So this is one of the I think of the problems. Yeah, so it's
But
not good.
nevertheless, something which never stops me thinking, but only a few people manage to look good. Most of them looked pretty awful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am not talking about beauty though. I agree with Armani's looks, but Armani doesn't sell to young people.
Yeah.
It doesn't appeal to young people. What I'm talking about is not beauty. What I'm talking about is the possibility that that red carpet look generates income for the brand. And if nobody remembers it after 2 days, it will not generate an income. So it's not a winning investment. That's what I'm speculating about. That's what I'm suggesting. It's not because I agree with you. Few people look beautiful, but we forget even about those. And I'm not talking about you, obviously. I'm talking about the average customer. So I think this is the world we live in. Beauty doesn't. It's not
Yeah.
important anymore.
And
I also, I wanted to add, I agree with you very much about celebrities being luxury. Angelo Flacavento was wrote an article, a very beautiful article, about how designers can be divided in designers who create dresses and designers who create content. I think it was either Flacavento or Vanessa Friedman. Anyway, the idea was some designers create clothes, beautiful clothes, Galliano, and some designers create content, such as Pharrell Williams, for instance, or even Virgil Abloh. Great content, but content, not dresses necessarily. It's not about the know-how of making a dress. It's about creating some content that people follow and engage with.
yeah, which is a bit of I don't know, a sad but reality of our times. I was reading, I recommended you a book by Donna Tartt. I don't know if you had a chance to research her a bit or no, but nevertheless, she just got this book called The Goldfinch, and it's about how a boy manages to steal Flemish masterpiece while visiting a Met Museum in New York. And she describes Flemish paintings in a most exquisite way. Like, I don't think I've ever read paintings described so beautiful in the literature. And she manages to translate the beauty of these paintings, like, and their value and how we capture this moment. And as I was reading it, the idea which struck me, the reason why these paintings existed in 16th century is very simple, because they were relevant and people could understand this beauty. Whereas today, I think, you take your average visitor to see Vermeer and it would mean nothing for them. The reason being because beauty, like you said, is not the currency of our times, which is truly fascinating.
It's also because the media have grown. So the church, for instance, Baroque was born as an effect of the Counter-Reformation, because the church was not encouraging people to read books, but was encouraging people to look at the churches and learn from the walls of the churches the stories of the saints, etc. And it was a very good way for the church to control the information that Catholics received. And obviously, when your only medium is the walls of the church and painting, then that becomes the dominating art. But the media have also grown. So I think besides what you say, which I agree about, the 20th century and the 21st century redeemed ugliness in art more than any decade before. But also there is the element that today we've got more media. So those Vermeers and those paintings are for people who understand them, and everyone else has TV and social media. So the medium is different.
However, GP, I guess the big dilemma is, So we're talking about beauty. We're talking about sophistication, which exists only for a few people in the end of the day, because the consumer for these currencies is actually very tiny. Has it got any impact on our culture in a way to say what mediocrity rules supreme, or should we say what maybe we should step away from this snobbish culture and appreciate and embrace mediocrity? Where should we stand in this cultural dilemma?
I think humans are. It's not that mediocrity rules today, but it didn't in the past. It has always been like this. Humans are always divided into classes. Even the attempts at equality. I'm thinking about the Soviet Union, which you know very, very well. Even in that case, Kazimir Malevich and all the constructivists who were the first true examples of political art and the very first true examples of total abstraction that had no referent in reality, even those were sanctioned by the state. Because even though they were saying, yes, equality for all, yes, we do art that speaks about equality, the communist idea of equality, but then Stalin didn't like it because those are too difficult for the peasants to understand. So let's do Russian realism and Soviet realism because that's something that the peasant can understand. So I think that there has always been an element of, I don't want to call it snobbery, even though it's the right word, of exclusion and inclusion of people who can understand and the masses who cannot understand. And this is human nature. I don't think I think the best we can do is to decide where we want to stand. Do you want to stand with the peasants who can only understand Soviet realism, or do you want to stand with the intellectuals who can appreciate Kazimir Malevich?
Have to take a
and
stand.
I already know the answer about you, so.
Well, JP, I have a painting for today then. Speaking of taking a stance, maybe I'll answer with a painting. I will pick John Sargent, Madam X. And in this wonderful bodies with like a sort of corset top bodies in velvet woman, she's got jewel encrusted straps and she's looking sideways. I think side profile paintings or portraits, there's some sort of a class in them, like always. It's like there's something really incredible in like full like side depiction of a human face. And but the provocative element about this painting, originally he painted it with one strap which has slipped off a shoulder, and it was a huge scandal, and we made him repaint it. Obviously today it's an iconic painting, and it eludes this sense of sophistication, sexuality, glamour, which is unattainable for most of people, even on red carpets. But I mean, most of us. But I think it's a very, very timeless message. As we might hate the word timeless, we have to use it because there's no other better word to describe it, right? It's something which transcends time, and it's very difficult to see these people, right? Kate Middleton doesn't want to be seen, so what we have to do, we have to look at Sargent painting to feel this sophistication and elegance, and the way he depicted these people highlights the importance of stylists today. And when I was looking at runway shows for this season we just ended, at first I think I experienced a sense of disappointment, and I thought a lot of shows were dry or not very well put together, or there was nothing dramatic about them. And I think the moment I told to myself, let go of this sort of expectation, actually the shows were reminded us few very important things. And first, I think the importance of styling is back. I saw a lot of very interesting tucks. I saw a lot of ties of scarves, a lot of gloves, a lot of accessories. Tights are back. And this gave me a huge hope for not necessarily trend and fashion, but style and how you can wear a garment. And I thought this was a big message across many designers: Miu Miu, Prada, Bottega, and Sport Max as well. Very beautiful styling. Dries Van Noten. And at the same time, I thought, on average, most of shows actually were quite elegant and glamorous. To let go of all the recent obsession with diversity, gender identity, representing beauty from all sort of angles, the beauty this season was very traditional and glamorous beauty, which almost felt a bit conservative, but I thought, isn't it a great victory of elegance and sophistication, which we have known luxury fashion to be for so long? Of course, we have brands like Diesel and Balenciaga who will keep on selling us this idea of fashion, which is, inspired by subcultures and, working classes. But nevertheless, I thought there is true beauty and glamour, which is actually quite aspirational. And unlike previous season, which was all about minimalism, I think here we saw glamour. Even like Gabriela Hearst in New York with her floor length fur and leather coats, beautiful. Or think about Prada and the sort of very subversive sense of romance. And I thought Tom Ford was very strong. Like, it was actually very, very core Tom Ford show. Nevertheless, designer is no longer there. Anyway,
Yeah.
what did you think?
I think that Tom Ford is risking only to be a bit repetitive. And that's always a crime in fashion, to be repetitive. If you are beautiful and repetitive, is worse than if you are ugly and new. Because fashion is not about beauty, it's about newness. That's a crime, because I don't need to buy a new garment today if I bought the same thing 10 years ago. So, and this is, I agree with you, fashion is growing very tired of inclusivity, diversity, and all those things. First of all, because it has lost its newness once again. And then because it's not really selling, it's not really yielding. See what happened to Victoria's Secret, who has closed the disastrous parenthesis of inclusivity and is going back to its basics, because ultimately people want to get tired of those things, and it's becoming unsustainable. We were getting to a point where the brands trying to be good were the ones who were criticized the most, precisely because they were trying to be good, and activists expected them to be even more perfect. So I think brands are saying, you know what, fuck yourself, fuck off. Yeah. The shows, I agree very much with what you said. And I also think that every time the pendulum shifts towards styling is because the design is suffering. Design doesn't need styling if it's good design. Usually, often styling covers poor individual pieces. This is one of, I think, when the pendulum shifts, is because the design is suffering. They're covering something up by beautifying with styling, and also styling allows designers to speak to many niches at the same time, because the stylist mixes things together, so you are speaking to more niches at the same time. So this is another reason why I think today we've got so much styling. I wanted to, and there is a conservative sense. I think in times of crisis, one needs to be conservative, and this is what fashion is doing. Another thing that I wanted to add is that I also have an artist that I think represents quite well this episode and whatever we talked about, starting from Kate Middleton, is a sculptor called Jago. Do you know Jago?
No, I don't.
Written Jago. Jago is a sculptor that creates sculptures in marble, white marble. Very beautiful sculptures, beautiful in a very classic way. Sometimes the subject is not beautiful, but the sculpture is always beautiful. So it's the very is that very refined idea that that Umberto Eco called the beautification of the ugliness. So sometimes the subject itself is a little bit gruesome, but the sculptures are interesting. Now, Jago creates, first of all, he's one of the few artists that is still purchased by the Catholic Church, and his sculptures are found inside Catholic churches. He's very fleshy, very carnal, just like Baroque. He is the evolution of Baroque, but he's not so in a postmodern way, because his referent is always the same, is always Baroque, is always that idea of 17th century sculpture. He doesn't mix and match different inspirations. And there is more. He creates those sculptures himself. It's not like Damien Hirst, who designs a sculpture and calls somebody else to sculpt it. He does everything himself. So I think Jago is a good representation, because Jago is what you said about fashion, is a conservative artist, because you see conservation, you see the past surviving and looking for a simple yet powerful direction. Not trying to be weird, but trying to be meaningful, I think.
Yeah, indeed, this is very right way to put it. I didn't see much weird fashion at all, and I thought it was delightful. Yeah, any other thoughts, Droopy, on how's the culture going?
No, very bad. The culture is going very bad. There are some TV shows that we should talk about maybe next time, but yeah, like the Swans and Truman Capote versus the Swans. That was an interesting experiment. But yeah, for next time, I think we covered very interesting facts today.
Okay, well, in this case, until next time.
Culture
Yeah.
gone bad. Regardless of how much you loved or hated this episode, now you absolutely must subscribe and leave us a comment and give us a like.
Because remember, love and hate are just one step away from each other. Until next time, Culture Gone Bad says goodbye.